This is the Argonaut Supernaut RM3, and in a world of road bikes shaped in wind tunnels, it looks absolutely beautiful. And once you get on the move, wow, what a bike. It is sensational. The ride quality and performance is up there with the best bikes I've ever tested in over 20 years of doing this job. It's not all good though. My main beef with the bike is the price. It's $16,500 for the bike, as you see it right here, which is, don't need me to tell you, a lot of money indeed, but no more than a similar Trek Madone SLR race bike for comparison. And that bike isn't made in the US like this one here is, by a small team in very small quantities. Just 100 will be made this year, so very rare and very exclusive indeed. But let's see if you get your money's worth. And this is not a Cotswolds, is it? No, not at all. It's Calpe, just down there on the coast, a mecca for pro cyclists through the winter, and the mountain roads are beautifully made for cycling, made for road bikes, and a good test for any bike. So let's see how the Argonaut RM3 copes with the riding out here. The main takeaway from my time on the bike is the ride quality. It's sensational. And the ride is buttery smooth. Even back home on my crappy roads, the ride is so smooth. It rivals an endurance bike for comfort, yet it's snappy and responsive and fast like a race bike. The 30mm tyres definitely help, but even on 28s on my ENVEs, the ride is still very, very smooth. It doesn't let any bumps or cracks in the road get through to your contact points. It's so smooth. But the way it rides is so nice, and it does remind me of the best road bikes I've ever ridden in my 20 years of testing bikes. The likes of Pali, Colnago, Sato, Time as well. So other handmade carbon bikes, definitely on that sort of level. But don't think it's a soft, flexy, wallowy bike. Oh no, it's stiff, it's very rigid, and it's so snappy. When you get on the power, you're climbing, you're sprinting, you're throwing into corners. It reacts like a race bike. It has that race bike feel and responsiveness. It's so much fun to ride. But the stiffness is dialed back just enough in the frame to give you that comfort and compliance. And the stiffness of the wheels definitely helps how the bike tracks through the corners and how reactive it feels. They are a bit stiffer than the ENVEs I tried when I did some comparison testing back home. The roads out here in Spain, Calpe, are so smooth though. Bumpy in places, but no potholes. I haven't seen one pothole yet. And a 30mm tyre, it's all you need. You don't need 40s out here, that's for sure. I really like the geometry. A bit more laid back than a race bike, so slightly higher stack and shorter reach, but not an endurance bike. So it's still pretty racy. I would call it a sports bike. So if you're into cars, your race bike, your Trek Madone, that's a supercar. Crazy fast, but compromised in its sort of real world comfort and usability. This is like a sports car, like a Porsche 911. Still bloody fast, but more comfortable. You can drive it, ride it every day. It looks after you. A bit more practical. We've got space for 35mm wide tyres if you want even more comfort, or you have even crappier roads than I do, if that's possible. So yeah, definitely a sports bike vibe. And the fit to the bike is perfect. It fits me so well. Now the frame isn't bespoke. They do offer fully bespoke frames. These are one of multiple stock sizes. But I still went through a fit assessment with my bike fit data. So the bike was sized to me in terms of the seat post offset, the handlebar dimensions, and that really shows that it fits me so well. Often with bikes that come with testing, I have to change bits or be compromised in how a bike fits me because they don't really fit me perfectly all the time. I'm pretty flexible and I can fit most bikes really well, but this bike just fits me perfectly, like a bespoke bike, without the lengthy wait for a bespoke handmade bicycle. And that is another lovely, lovely climb ticked off. A peach of a road. No traffic, not one single car, and about 4 cyclists. Lovely road surface, some nice hairpins to break up the gradient, about 7-8k long. Yeah, just a lovely climb. The sort of climb you just kind of keep the gear spinning, stay on top of the gear as well, never really fighting the bike too much, and very pleasant, and a lovely view. Pretty stunning, and the bike does climb exceptionally well. It's very lightweight, it's not heavy at all, and there's plenty of stiffness when you are really cranking out the power, and it does feel like a kind of TCR or an Athos but supercharged, taken to the next level of performance and ride quality. Just fantastic, so much fun. And it descends so well. I've had so much fun descending this week. The 30mm tyres, the geometry, that sort of tune, stiffness, compliance of the frame and wheels, it just goes through corners so well, and my confidence has just grown from day to day. And I think the geometry of the bike definitely helps me get down the hills and through corners pretty quick, and I've had some fun keeping up with pro teams, pro riders as well, and I'm so comfortable descending on this bike through the corners. We don't have roads like this back home, long sweeping descents when you carry such speed for such a long time, but a few days on this bike, yeah, I feel right at home. It feels very natural and so much fun. So don't let the traditional looks fool you. The build quality, the engineering, the carbon fibre layout is first class and of the highest level. I love the fact you see the carbon weave underneath the clear coat, so no hiding the carbon work at all, and it looks absolutely amazing in the sunlight here in Calpe. And the process they use for making the frame involves their own silicone mandrels, which allows a high pressure to compact the carbon fibre and the resins in the mould and achieve a more precise and less voids and less air bubbles in the carbon fibre layout. So just better quality, so less weight, and allows them to better tune the ride quality, which is a big feature of the bike. The stiffness they've achieved through the frame, the head tube and the rear stays. And yes, the frame looks traditional with the non-drop rear stays and the fairly round profile. They're not actually round if you get up close. They have these sort of flat-sided shapes and a tapered head tube, but I think it looks fantastic, and a wishbone rear stays. So some interesting details on the bike. We have space for 35mm wide tyres, the same as an ENVE Melee, more than a tarmac, so future-proof of wide tyres. These, for reference, are a 30mm wide tyre from a Schwalbe, and they have plenty of space around the fork. The fork is an ENVE fork, by the way. And the bottom bracket, so T47 is becoming very popular, but did you know that Argonaut were the brand that actually developed, in collaboration with Chris King, the T47 standard? So it's their invention, which is open source, so anybody and lots of people are using it, and allows them to use titanium threaded inserts bonded into the bottom bracket shell for the benefits of an oversized shell and threaded for easy maintenance. So yeah, interesting detail worth noting, because I don't think a lot of people know that Argonaut were behind T47. They've also developed their own wheels as well. These are a 43mm deep section wheel, hookless, 23mm internal width with DT Swiss hubs and aero-blade spokes. And they told me that the idea behind developing their own wheels is to tune the stiffness of the wheels, which are very stiff, and then complement that stiffness with the frame being a bit less stiff to get the balanced ride quality and the dynamic handling they were looking to achieve with the bike as a whole. So the wheels and frame, fork and handlebar design in unison as a system. And the build on this bike is of course top draw, Durace DI2 with ceramic speed, upgraded pulley wheel and ceramic bearing bottom bracket. It does spin very nicely indeed. And up front we have the newish ENVE AR one-piece handlebar and stem, which might be my favourite one-piece cockpit right now. I hate the word cockpit, but you know what I mean. So really nice shape, aero on the tops, but tapered from the stem down to this corner here, and a bit of bar tape there. And it's really nice when you're riding along on the climbs. Got that nice position there, you've got bar tape, so you're not going to slip around. Just really comfortable. And there's definitely a bit of flex in the drops as well. You can almost see it actually. Just flex it a little bit there. So when you're in the hoods, you just get a bit more compliance, a bit of damping when you are descending. That's really nice when you're cornering, just a little bit of give, it's not too stiff, and I think dialing back the stiffness a bit is actually good for that reassurance you want. So who is the bike for? Well, clearly those who can afford it, because it's not cheap at all. And it's not going to appeal to younger people who want a race bike and all the aero gains. But for the sort of person like myself, an older gent, who might be considering something like a Carnago or another high-end boutique brand, no, a bike for life, the last bike you might buy, and you're really treating yourself. Something that isn't just a Specialized or a Trek or a Canyon and goes out of fashion next season. With a nice story behind the company, and they make their own frames as well. That down there, that rock, is Calpe. I've just come down this lovely climb here, almost back to my hotel. And I thought this would be a good place to wrap up the review. And I'll talk about price first, because it's a lot of money. Is it worth it? Is it good value for money? Well, clearly, if you can't afford it, it's not good value for money at all. But here's a way to look at it, because for the same money, you can buy a Trek Madone SLR, a fantastic aero race bike made in Taiwan. And they're both amazing bikes, make no mistake. But here's an interesting way to look at the differences. So buying a Madone is like going to a supermarket and buying a loaf of bread. Sliced white bread is cheap, it's mass manufactured by people not really passionate about bread, but it tastes fine. Toasted, bit of butter, jam, yum yum. But the Argonaut, that's like going to an independent bakery run by two people passionate about bread, and they make the best sourdough in the world. It costs 5 times the loaf from the supermarket, but it tastes amazing. So which are you choosing? That's like a choice between the two bikes here. So if you can remove the price from the equation and you can justify it, and you're fed up with a fashion parade of aero, lighter, stiffer race bikes that are replaced every few years and go out of date very quickly, and want a forever bike, then the Argonaut Supernaut RM3 is definitely worth considering. It's not a bike for everybody, I think they know that, but if you can afford it and you are looking for something a bit special, a bit different, then yeah, it's very, very special indeed. And would I buy it? Well, hell yeah. If I had the money, if I had $16,500, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. I've had an amazing time riding it back home in the UK and out here in Calpe. Just ride, it's so nice. The geometry works for me. I love the story behind the brand, how they manufacture the frames. And I think it looks fantastic as well. And yeah, I think I'm fed up with aero carbon race bikes that go out of fashion every few years, and this won't go out of fashion. So it's a bit of me. I like it a lot. It really is a dream bike. And I'll leave you with a view of the bike and Calpe in the background, which I highly recommend. It's worth a visit.